Hey legends, welcome along to Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart. We're getting into season 1 of Angel and this episode with a fantastic episode called Eternity. For me, I enjoy the dark side to the Angel character. Whenever they get to delve into that, it's always good, and we do get it ever so slightly in this episode right here. Yes, that's why I was never as fond of Buffy the Vampire Slayer after season 2, because that whole Angelus storyline was fantastic. Um, so, I was going to say episode 5, season 5 of Angel. Actually, there's a fantastic uh, return of Angelus and that. But we're getting ahead of things, as per usual on this channel. Nothing's ever properly planned out. Whenever I start my podcast, I just jump on here, start talking a wild pile of nonsense, and that is what the crack is. So, yes, and this one, Angel and Wesley, a little bit of comedy to start off the episode. They're sitting, talking to each other, they're panicked, how are we going to get out? We're trapped. The doors are blocked, all this sort of stuff. And then you realise they're actually at a rehearsal for a play that Cordelia is a part of. So yeah, they're trying their hardest to get out because they're just been tormented by Cordelia's bad acting on stage. She's up there talking away, going through the lines, been as over the top emotional as possible, and then forgetting a line, having to shout off the side of the stage to get a line reading. And yeah, that's a good little opener to the episode. After that's over, the three of them, they're walking down the street together. Cordelia, she's trying to get a read from them and what they thought of her performance. And, they're doing their best to kind of avoid the truth, really. Cordelia then spots Oliver Simon, a well-known talent agent, and an actress called Rebecca Lowell. When Rebecca crosses the street, Angel notices this parked car pulling out into the traffic and accelerating towards her, as if the driver's intent to knock her down. So Angel runs into the street, pushes her out of the path of the car, and saving her life. This guy Oliver offers Angel a reward, but Angel, of course, refuses to accept it. Cordelia then gives Rebecca the business card for Angel Investigations, and the next day there's a report in the newspapers about the rescue, and Cordelia, she's all excited because in the photograph, she's in the photograph. But whenever Wesley's like, I can't see in this photograph, she's like, that's my elbow, and the same photograph as Rebecca. So Cordelia been the sort of person that really wants to break into acting, is just excited that her elbow has got into the corner of a photograph of this famous star. At that point, Angel comes in, kind of plays it down a little bit, as if to say, well, we saved someone, the newspapers reported, and me rescuing her and whatnot. And Wesley breaks the news that there's no, there's no report of Angel in the newspaper about him rescuing her. So the whole thing with Angel trying to play it down, and he's kind of hurt at this point. So a little bit of comedy to open up the episode. At that point, Rebecca, the actress, turns up in the office with two of her bodyguards, and she's asking for Angel's help with a stalker fan, and she's impressed that Angel doesn't know who she is. She's had a lot of success as an actress up to this point, and her everyday life in this episode is she has to have all these bodyguards around her, and to find someone that doesn't know who she is fairly attractive for her. But Angel declines to take the case. Cordelia is not happy with that decision. She sees this as her chance to network with high Hollywood people. And Wesley explains, he catches on right away what's going on here. Wesley explains that Angel can't take the case because he likes Rebecca and he's afraid of getting too close to her. Angel remains silent, and of course, not answering it as an answer in itself. Wesley says he agrees with Angel's decision not to take the case. Cordelia pretends to have visions about Rebecca being in danger, but Wesley and Angel are not going to be fooled by it. At Rebecca's house, there's this woman. I don't even know what you would call it. The beautician, let's just say, is putting face cream on her, waxing for her face and whatnot, and they're discussing plastic surgery. Rebecca is actually considering doing it. That night, she's hosting a party, and after the guests leave, there's a nice little piece in this where they do this little change through cameras throughout the night, and everybody's at this party having a great time, and you realise the whole time throughout the party that she's completely cut off from the people around her, and she's just pretty much going through the motions of her life and what she's doing. So once the party guests leave, a masked man breaks into the house, at which point Angel breaks through a sliding glass door to protect Rebecca. The masked man escapes, and Rebecca notices that Angel has no reflection. At that point, Angel does his little disappearing act, and Rebecca's bodyguards arrive soon after, saying that they have called the police. So she puts everything down, it's just like, this isn't going to happen tonight. The police are outside, nobody's going to come back and whatnot. She gets rid of her agent again, and once everybody's out of the house, she calls out to Angel, knowing that he hasn't actually left. She knows he's a vampire, but she's not frightened. She asks Angel to stay in the house for the night to protect her. Now, the only issue I have with this episode, even though it's a great story, it's fantastic, it's really well acted, there's a good storyline run throughout this, but this one part here where Angel busts into the house isn't really clear, and not much of an explanation on how it happens. Although later in, I think, season 2, they point towards the fact that Angel isn't a normal vampire, because there's a point where he rescues another character in a later episode, and they are commenting on, there's some sort of higher power stepping in here, because Angel didn't have an invite into the house whenever he rescued this woman. So again, you see this in this episode. Angel busts through this house with no invitation. So that's the only sort of nitpicking that I'd bring up in this one. The next morning, Angel phones Wesley to say he's taking Rebecca's case. Cordelia's worried that Angel might have, slept with her that night, revoking his soul and turning him back into Angel. So she turns up at Rebecca's house with 3 lattes and a large wooden cross, and Angel, who answers the door, tells her that Rebecca knows he's the vampire. Rebecca is off to have lunch with her agent Oliver, who tells her that she did not get the part she was hoping for. Oliver says the producers want to hear her read, so she's not happy with this here. Again, she's been living the life of a successful actress, and the fact that she even has to read for a role now has just shown her that her career isn't, the downgrade at this point. Back at her house, Rebecca tells Angel that she's not used to reading for the parts. Her career's in decline, blah blah. Just said that after more than a year off the air, that's just, it is what it is, sort of thing. That night, Rebecca attends a premiere with Angel as her bodyguard. After making her appearance on the red carpet, Rebecca leads Angel out the back door, as she never watches the movie. She just turns up for the photo opportunity. As they're walking down the alley behind the theatre, an attacker shoots at them. Angel fights him off. Rebecca realises the attacker is a stuntman who Oliver once represented. Angel has him knocked out at this point. She recognises the guy has been represented by Oliver. When this guy Oliver does appear at the scene, he confesses that he arranged the attacks on Rebecca to get publicity for her. Rebecca guesses that she did not get the part she was hoping for, and Oliver explains that she's now too mature for the roles. They want to see someone younger in it. And if you just let a bit of time go here, we can get your career back on track. But she was the star of a very popular soap opera that's in syndication, and she's like, this version of me is always going to be out there, always going to be looking younger than me. And she is just accepting the fact that she has to do something drastic now to keep her career on the go. At that point, she glances at Angel, and we, as the viewer, realise in this moment what's going to happen. So back at Angel Investigations, Wesley and Angel, they're discussing how the shooter was using blanks, and they conclude that it was a hoax. Angel's worried that Rebecca will be hurt if she learns that no one cares about her enough to stalk her. So, he's got her figured out at this point, really. Rebecca invites the next day Cordelia to go shopping with her, and as they're walking down the streets of LA, Rebecca is basically pumping Cordelia for Angel's information, and whatnot. We don't get to see the real details of it in this part of the episode. It's more centered on Cordelia's excitement of being around her, but Rebecca does come across as looking a little bit more personal information on Angel. That night she comes to Angel Investigations uninvited, finding Angel in the basement apartment, and she offers him a bottle of champagne as a gift. During this she spills some of the wine on Angel's shirt, and when he leaves to change, she pours some powdery drug into his drink, and when he returns she offers a toast, and the two drink. Wesley turns up at this point at Cordelia's apartment. She's paged him. When he arrives, she tells him that Rebecca was curious about Angel and confesses that she told Rebecca a lot more than she should, including the intimate details on how one becomes a vampire. Cordelia has guessed that Rebecca wants to be a vampire herself to stay young forever, which is exactly what she wants. So back at the apartment, Angel's more relaxed. It seems like the drug's starting to take effect. In a seductive manner, Rebecca suggests that Angel make her a vampire. Now, I'm really cutting through a lot of the details here just to keep this episode short and sharp. I would highly recommend you going and checking out the episode. It is really great whenever you get into this final act on it. She basically exposes her neck and she's like, do it. And Angel refuses, saying that she doesn't know what she's doing. In a sudden rage, he grabs her at one point. She's trying to argue the side that, you think I don't understand what I'm doing here. I know exactly what I'm doing here. I want to be young forever, sort of thing. At which point, Angel goes into a sudden rage, drags her over to the fridge in his basement apartment, takes out a blood pack from the refrigerator and sprays it under her mouth, saying that, this is a big decision. Let me give you a taste of what you're looking for. Surprised at his own actions, Angel guesses that, she's drugged him at this point, and she admits it, saying she just wanted to lower his defences a little by slipping a little happy pill in there. However, the pill has caused Angel to feel perfect bliss, and if you know the character, that is the switching point for his curse. If he knows true happiness, he reverts back to Angelus, which he does in style in this episode. He bites her in the shoulder, takes on his vampire face. She hits him with a candlestick, tries to escape into the elevator. She's realised in this moment what a vampire truly is, and she wants to get out at this point. The elevator stops between the floors, so she attempts to escape from the bottom of the elevator into Angel's office, where she finds Wesley and Cordelia. She admits that she gave Angel a drug called Doxamol, which is a powerful tranquilizer that basically induces bliss. Wesley, he sort of works out at this point, I think we're okay. It's a drug, it's a synthetic happiness, it's not true happiness. He hasn't fully turned to Angelus. It's just the effects of the drug bringing Angelus forward, so they're hoping that if they can get out of there and just let him do what he has to do until the drug wears off, they should be okay. He should be okay in the morning, sort of thing. So the lights go out at this point. Angelus has cut the power and he enters the office where he mocks Wesley for his inferiority complex, like really, really cutting out some of the details for you. I really want you to check this episode out. If you're a fan of the show, if you're particularly a fan of Buffy Season 2 and the character of Angelus, he does it good in this episode. Fantastic. Like, it's only a matter of like maybe throughout the whole episode, you're talking probably 5 minutes or so. But what he does and what he goes through and some of the things he says to people is fantastic. And in all fairness, with the way PC culture is these days, I don't really think he would get away with this stuff now. So he goes after Wesley for his inferiority complex, basically knocks him in his ass in the middle of the whole thing, gets at Cordelia for her bad acting. She threatens him with a bottle of water, which she claims is holy water. Angel says she's bluffing, but Cordelia insists that she knew there was a chance that Angelus could return, referring back again to Buffy Season 2. She's like, this water is brought here in the morning while you're sleeping in the bat cave, and every month the local priest blesses the water and whatnot. So she throws it in his face. He recoils, thinking that if it's holy water, it's going to burn. Only to discover that it's normal water. And Cordelia, goes through the whole thing. And the Oscar goes to, at this, Angelus takes a run at Cordelia. Wesley takes advantage of the momentary confusion and pushes Angelus down the elevator shaft, knocking him unconscious, which is a great, great stunt in this episode. It's one of those stunts where you see it and you think to yourself, okay, clearly a stunt man, but this guy had to be injured doing that. There's no way he pulled this off and not came out badly bruised. Great, great little moment in the episode. The next morning, Angel wakes up, he's chained to his own bed. Wesley and Cordelia confirm that Rebecca's gone and know she'll be no longer using the services. At this point, he's trying his best to apologise to Cordelia and Wesley for what he said. Wesley accepts being the kind of the walkover that he is, but at the same time, he does give Angel an intense jab after accepting the apology. He says he understands that you walk a fine line, and I don't envy you in the slightest. But for the fact that Cordelia, she's still angry, though not for what he said as Angelus, but for the fact that he didn't tell her the truth about her acting. Like, Angelus goes on in the most hurtful way he can to tell her that she's just bad, flat out bad at acting. And at the beginning of the episode, Wesley and Angel were trying their hardest to, be supportive by lying to the girl. So at the end of the episode, this is where she's holding the issue of Angel, as the fact that, in her words, Angelus mightn't be the most relaxing company, but at least he's honest. And shouldn't I be able to expect the same honesty from the not evil version of my friends? So that's a good little lesson at the end of this episode too. But if she eventually agrees to put the incident behind her, she's just about to leave, and Angel says to her, you're not going to untie me, are you? And she just kind of looks at him like, some chance. And the episode closes out with him calling after Wesley and Cordelia while chained to the bed. Now, it's not just a couple of chains, like, he's properly chained up, arms, legs are chained up and chained to the bed. Like, he's not moving, vampire strength or not. A fantastic little episode. Let me just see if there's any more details in this here. I'm just looking through some of the online stuff here as far as continuity goes. Cordelia and Angel were called in the same party as Oliver Simon in the opening episode of the season 1. So this talent agent in the opening episode had actually given Angel his card saying that he has a good look, he has something, and that kind of pisses Cordelia off because she's trying her hardest to get noticed. This episode marks the first real appearance of Angelus since becoming part 2 and the end of Buffy season 2, of course. The episode demonstrates that the moment of perfect happiness that triggers Angelus' curse does not have to be sexual. As Angel points out, he becomes Angelus in the episode Surprise, not because he had sex, but because he was with Buffy. So, yeah, again, that's just pointing out what I said earlier. The curse isn't specific. It can be broken, 100% broken. We've seen that there through true love, true happiness and whatnot, but the rules of the curse can be bent by drugs. So learn the lesson, kids. Don't take drugs. Let me see what else I've got here as far as continuity goes. Angelus later returns in the episodes Awakening and Orpheus after the gang. Perfect. I'm not going to actually finish that because it is a big spoiler for season 5. I'm doubtful that anybody's going to hang about this podcast long enough to hear that, but it is what it is. Angel and Rebecca discuss the on-screen depictions of Dracula, whom Buffy later faces off against in Buffy versus Dracula. So, no real massive information here. Yeah, it is a great episode. Apparently, whenever it was first broadcast, it had an audience of 3.3 million households upon its original airing. So, not powerful for back then. Like, those viewing figures wouldn't be great for whenever this season came out. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel was a very, it was the taste that you really had to have to check it out. Now, if you weren't a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you heard there was a spin-off Angel, chances are you wouldn't even have entertained watching it. But seriously, as a fan of this show, it's miles ahead of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And, well, storytelling and how far it pushes the boundary in some instances, it's definitely a more grown-up show than what Buffy was. And I love it. Like, I've watched this series now, all 5 seasons this year, easily at this point. I have probably watched the run of this here about 12 times, easily, and I never get tired watching it because the storytelling in it is just good, and the overall arcs of the seasons are great. There's no real downers in this run of this series, but yeah, I love it. So I'm going to cut the episode here and bid you a fond farewell until the next episode. So whatever you're doing, stay safe, and I will talk to you all then. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.